one last thing to kind of try to explain why this is an analogy here, why men like have an issue with this whole, oh, hold on.
Walt Mosher super chatted.
Thank you, man.
$51.
Thank you, Walt.
If a guy is just looking for a hookup, he doesn't care about your body count, so why bother asking?
I actually disagree. I think even for a hookup or one night stand, like, would our preference even for a hookup be for a low body count? Probably.
Before I even get with a girl, I ask her so many questions because I'm seeing which, like, I hate to say it, but where you sit with me. So like whenever I ask you questions, I ask you like what job you do, what's your body count, how many partners have you had a one night stand. I go in depth. I grill people. And normally after the first 5, 10, 15 minutes of talking with this girl, I know if I'm either putting her in a recreational use only category or if I'm looking for a real relationship with her. And that's how I do it, because at the end of the day, like, if you're gonna be my girl, you gonna represent me outside of the bedroom, outside of the house, etc. So if you make me look bad, I ain't keeping you around. Like, be real with you. So, but I'll definitely smash.
Okay.
That's honest. Most men can't be honest.
All right, it's getting pretty late here, so we're gonna wrap. Last thing, I'll just end it on this analogy. So kind of why like a guy might have an issue with, like, if a girl, if she's hooked up with a bunch of guys in the past, had a phase, party phase, hoe phase, whatever you want to call it, and then wants to make the guy wait. So here's this analogy here. And I might give two just to kind of give a different perspective. So, and I've written this down here just so I don't scuff it up how I normally do. So making a man wait while you smashed Chad after a few beers on a slow Tuesday, and that could have happened numerous amounts of times, is like me going to McDonald's and while everyone else eating there paid $1 for that cheeseburger, the clerk looks at me and says, "It's $1,000 for you, sir." Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Here's the last example I can give.
Oh.
Last example, and then we're gonna
Ryan,
wrap.
it's 11:30.
I know. We're gonna wrap. Last example. Okay, so what's your thoughts on the scenario? Let's say you've been in a situationship with a guy for 6 months. You really like him. You want him to commit to you. Mm-hmm. You've hooked up with him already, right? You guys are hooking up. But he says he likes to take things slow. Somehow you find out that the last 3 girls he had a committed relationship with, he initiated the commitment conversation after only 3 weeks of dating. How does that make you feel?
I mean, it takes me back to what you were saying, how it makes you like not feel good that somebody would like wait to have sex with you. But like, it's like, I know like this is commitment, not sex, but it's like the same thing that you were saying before.
Yeah, you'd be like, well,
you would feel like of like a lesser value.
Yeah, like, oh, he doesn't put me on the same level as his previous girls.
He doesn't put me on the same pedestal he did the other girls.
Yeah, another example I could give is basically like, let's say you were dating a guy. Let's say you've been dating him for six months, a year, or whatever, and you know he's kind of a homebody. Like, he doesn't do much. He doesn't really take you out to dinner. You like him, right? You guys hook up. Like, you guys have a relationship. But he doesn't really take you anywhere. He doesn't buy you dinner. He doesn't get you gifts. He doesn't take you on vacation, whatever. Then you find out that with his last girlfriend or his previous girlfriends, he was buying her gifts. And by the way, his financial situation has not changed. He was getting her gifts, taking her on vacations, doing all this extra stuff for his last relationship.
Maybe he didn't feel appreciated in the last relationship. You can get. I like seeing stuff from both sides of the situation.
Cool.